Hello everyone. Today we have our regular dev sync. We'll just go around and share all of the updates we have through the last week. Ozgan, let's start with you.
Okay, sure. For last week, I was busy with mainly three things. One of them was creating the PR and making the suggested changes, importing the suggested changes for mnemonic support to the desktop app. And the second thing was the commitments restructuring PR, which is still under review. The third thing was inspecting supranational's code, reviewing the code. And my plan for this week is start the implementation of keeping track of the initial plotting phase on the desktop website. Uh, yeah, that's in a high level my summary for the last week.
Oh, okay. Any questions to Ozgan?
Yeah, Oskin, can you give us a little bit more detail on the two projects that you're working on with respect to the desktop farmer and the supranational code?
Sure.
Maybe tell us about where do we need to be to get to production ready, or at least testnet ready, desktop farmer app? What steps are left? How long is that going to take? And then for the supranational code, where is that at specifically? Has it been approved? Is there anything outstanding once it is approved, or they've delivered it to us? Then what are the next steps for integration of that into the the library, and then into the desktop application as well? And how long do you think that's going to take? And just kind of for everybody on the call, that's kind of the level. I know that we're still getting used to this format, so I'm just kind of picking on you right now, Iskin. Don't take it
Yeah,
personally.
sure. No problem.
This is kind of the format that we're looking for. Not only what did I do, but like, hey, what am I trying to achieve over the next week, over the next few weeks specifically, and how long do I think it's going to take? So you're kind of making like a contract or commitment as to what you think you guys can really achieve.
Okay. Let's start with desktop app. And Leo asked the question, Özgün still need the JS part on the rewards, right? Yeah, I do. Actually, I didn't inspect this issue. So maybe after the updates, it got resolved magically by itself, but I don't think so. So I will double check it. And if you need it, I will go ping you back, Leo. Other than that, going back to the summary. So desktop app, we have the basic functionality. It's working, but there are two major things that we want to complete before the testnet, which is the initial plotting phase is not represented in the app. So there is just a dummy loader, the progress bar. So it actually does the initial plotting, but we want to represent that and make the user know how many percentage of the initial plotting is completed. So one step is that, and let me check my notes. And the second thing is in the library, we have a support for stopping the plotting. So if the user wants to stop the plotting for any reason, we actually support that in the library, but this functionality is not currently transferred to the desktop app. So this is the second thing remaining. After these two things, I believe we are good to go. Other than that, everything is currently implemented in the desktop app. So we have every functionality that library provides us, other aside than these two. Any questions on the desktop, or should I go to supranational part?
Yeah,
I would just
sorry.
comment quickly. I don't think we need stopping on the interface side. I don't think we have this button in
We
the
have this
interface
button
yet.
actually. Yeah, we
Yes.
have. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the initial plotting, there is a button for resume stop. But I can change it, or if you don't want this
Okay.
functionality, at least for the testnet, we can remove it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and what's your estimation on completing those two features, Oskin?
I believe 1 or 2 weeks will be very accurate estimation. The reason I cannot be very strict, I cannot do a very strict estimation is this is requiring subscription kind of thing. and this is more on the JavaScript methodology that I'm not really familiar with in my background. So I might need help implementing that. Probably I will ask some questions to Nazar. That's why I cannot give a very strict estimation, but it should not be that hard. I believe it can be done in 1 week, at worst case, 2 weeks. And after that, I think we should be good to go for the testnet, at least from the side of desktop app.
Okay, so I'd like you to get on a weekly release schedule with the desktop app right now. So I'd like to get a release out by Friday. I'd like you just to focus on the initial plotting phase. And I'd like you to write as little JavaScript code as possible, but work with Leo on that. If there's anything you need to implement, I'd just like you to make sure that it gets connected into the Rust backend, into the Tori backend, and that it's using the library correctly.
Yeah, I probably misspoken. By JavaScript, I meant the subscription things that are usually being done in the JavaScript side. And since I was not a JavaScript developer, I'm not accustomed to these subscription events or event handlers, blah, blah, blah. And this tracking of initial plotting phase requires this kind of programming, and that's why I'm going to need help. It's not that I don't know JavaScript. It's just that I don't know the methodology on subscription types of things.
Okay, so
It's basically something like on progress during
Yeah,
plotting
something like
phase,
that.
so you can like update the progress bar as it goes.
Okay, so why don't you sync up with Nazar
Yeah.
one-on-one today and sort that out. But I'd like you to get whatever you can achieve this week. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'd like to get a release out by the end of the week that supports that initial plotting.
Okay.
Okay. Great.
I'll do my best. Should I go to supranational part?
Yeah.
Okay. For that, right now they and we have the support for Intel integrated graphics and AMD GPUs and NVIDIA GPUs. So we are covering a lot. We only do not cover M1 devices for Mac, I believe, which is fine at the moment. Other than that, I was more inspecting the low-level hardware code rather than how to integrate it with the farmer. So since Nazar was covering the Rust implementation side, I thought I should better be inspecting the low-level code so that we have a good division of the roles. So I don't have a clear idea or comments on the integration part with Rust. I was aiming to follow Nazar's guide on that. I was more focused on the low-level side.
But that inspection is complete now. We're just waiting on the results or the changes from Supranational.
Yes, I had a few questions. They still haven't replied about them at the moment. After I got a reply from that, I assume it will be all clear on my side. On the low-level code, I mean.
Okay. Okay. So the priority will be getting the release for the desktop farmer out by the end of the week. I think it's probably going to take a little bit of design from Nazar on how we're going to do the integration, and then once we have that sorted out, then we can that will probably be one of the next features to add in.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Okay, that's all I had. Thanks, Özkan.
Okay, I think that's all the questions. Justin, you'll be next.
Yeah. So last week, I finally got Windows code signing working on GitHub Actions. So that's good to go as far as like publishing and everything. Is done for the end of the week release for the Subspace desktop. I did want to ask if we wanted to maybe go to semantic versioning, because we haven't really been sticking to like strict version numbers or anything like that with it prior. So maybe something to think about as we move into a weekly release schedule. On that same note, I went to add Windows 11 support for the build process as well for the Subspace desktop. Looks like the Tori action that is utilizing in that workflow doesn't support individually naming of the assets. So as Nazar mentioned, I added support, but once it goes to build, it's going to have 2 Windows files with the same name. So we can't really quite support it just yet due to that, but I submitted an issue upstream with Tori. So hopefully they will be able to start getting that resolved. And once that's going, we can then add easy Windows 11 support. I mean, technically we could still build it locally and upload it if we really wanted to. It's just the automated GitHub action that's kind of restricted as far as that goes. Beyond that, the other things I was focusing on last week was a little bit on the community side, just setting up some test streams and making sure everything's in order for the AMA on Wednesday this week. And also added a level of verification to our Discord server. So people have to, react with a key emoji to be able to get in all the way. Just a little bit of a bot prevention technique. Moving forward into this week, I'm going to be focusing on getting the farmer network expanded, getting more people brought on board. I wasn't unable to focus on that last week a little bit, just as time, unfortunately, but that's going to be my main priority moving forward this week. And then I also want to try and streamline our tech support channel a little bit. There's like some different ticketing bots and things like that that will help keep those kinds of channels in order that I was looking at as well. Hoping to have that implemented. And then there's the AMA on Wednesday that I'll be moderating and getting that uploaded to YouTube as well. I'm hoping to have everybody, as far as staff goes, on the farmer network by this week, and then maybe branch out into some of the community next week.
Nazar, do you want to talk about the semantic versioning, how you want to do that?
I'm not really sure about semantic versioning because usually that means some kind of level of compatibility between versions. Let's say if you have 0.2.1 and 0.2.2, they should be kind of compatible with the same backend, so to speak, which is the blockchain. On the blockchain side, we are breaking things still, so we just have snapshots. In that sense, we can't just make like 0.2 1 week, 0.3 next week. This will be like semantic versioning. Doesn't really have too much meaning, but I guess we can do it. We can also try to, I don't know, we can try to bump the minor version in this case if we actually break the consensus part, meaning that farmer will become incompatible. But that will require a little bit more coordination between me and Ozgun to know when that actually happens.
Would it maybe be better just to name the release after the corresponding snapshot release?
Right, but then we can have multiple builds of the farmer desktop application that corresponds to the same snapshot. No,
right.
It's not one-to-one.
That's
I guess we can go with semantic versioning, but let's bump the minor version when we do this release, and then just add patch version until we have a new breaking change. And I'll just notify you guys when it happens.
I mean, for simplicity, could we just, every time we do a new snapshot of the protocol, we just do a minor release bump?
We can, but it's not always necessary. That's the point. Like desktop application only includes the farmer. As long as the farmer part is the same, we don't need to worry about the rest.
Right, but we're not really breaking that every week. We're it's the protocol that's changing more.
Right. That's why I'm saying that sometimes you might have a snapshot, which is a new snapshot on the network side, and that might change something about consensus, but the farmer is still compatible. So you don't need to bump the version on the desktop side.
Okay, so we'll just start with 0.1, and then you'll
I believe
let
it's
us know
already
when to bump
0.2
it.
or something.
Sorry,
Yeah,
0.2.
something like that.
Okay. Okay, so we'll just start Simver at 0.2, and every time you guys do a weekly release, it'll be 0.2.1, 0.2.2.
Oh, it's actually 0.0.2.1. It's super weird. Yeah, let's just do 0.1.0.
Okay. There we go. And we'll just bump the. Go ahead.
So sorry, I thought you were done.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I have something to add into that discussion. So since our monorepo is updating itself, and sometimes the desktop app does not work because the versions were incompatible with the monorepo. So I think it will be good to add some feature to the desktop app that will say you need to update the necessary things.
Yes, but that like involves a whole bunch of complexity.
Yeah, but even as a developer, it sometimes creates problem and wastes time. That's for
Sure.
Just on that note, Tori does have like an updater built into it that might be able to be utilized for that function.
Okay, then just create a ticket and try to research what it actually does and how it works. Maybe it's not difficult.
Yeah. In my free
Yeah.
times, I can maybe this should be a good backlog item.
Yeah, and that'll be a ticket for you, Özkan,
Yeah.
but not priority. But yeah,
Mhm.
like you said,
I think so.
top of the backlog.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Anything else for Justin?
is that clear on Simver, Justin, Özkan, how we're doing that now?
Yes.
Great. I had a comment or a question, I guess. So on the FarmNet, what is the current status of that? What how many nodes, I guess, do we have on the network
So,
other than? Go ahead.
I did start getting some people up and running last week, but then we did switch over we did another A/B switch, so it reset me back to 0 again. So I think Skylar was up and running. He got kicked off after Nizar did a switch last week to, I think, Farm B. So
But that
currently,
was not a farming switch. It was a testnet switch, not a farmnet. I
interesting.
don't think anyone touched farmnet.
Okay. Well, Skylar messaged me the same day that he was having issues. Currently, it is. I was up and running. I know Todd had a node up and running, but I think it went down. So currently it's just me. I'm a little bit behind. I need to get caught up.
I thought that we did discuss doing some FarmNet changes because wasn't Leo, because Leo was out sick, so it Serge, or was
I
that?
believe it was
really-
running the latest release for a while.
Let's see. Yeah, so it was running the latest release, but then we switched the domain, so anyone who was running through the domain got kicked off and has to reconnect.
But I switched the domain for testnet, not the farmnet. Are we still connecting to the testnet for some reason?
No, I may have just had my wires crossed. I may have
Okay,
misread your
if
last note.
something was affected, let's just notify me because something is off.
Okay, let me look into that. I might have just misread your last note because when you made that message last week, I thought it said farm. You switched FarmNet, but you said you did testnet. I may have misinterpreted.
Okay.
Do you currently have a node running on the FarmNet, Justin?
Yes.
Okay, but you're saying Todd and Skylar got kicked off.
I thought they did. Yes, I need to verify. I'll link up with them
Okay.
after this meeting.
Okay, so let's confirm that. So the goal is by the end of this week to have everybody on the team, all full-time employees of Subspace Labs, running a node, myself and Nizar included. Okay.
Okay, that will
And
be
then
my biggest priority.
That's your number one priority for this week. And if not, we're going to figure out what the issues are and get these bugs resolved. Make sure we're all on the same page here.
Sounds good.
Great.
All right. Thanks, Justin. The next will be Serge.
Okay, so on Relayer, I started adding new parachains on Kusama. Some of them work okay, like Crust, Shadow, and Pointer Robonomics. And some, like Sakura, Subsocial, and Zeitgeist, they have issues. Like some of them don't have any public endpoint, and those who have that endpoint doesn't work. I reached out to OnFinality, to ask if they're planning to onboard any of those. So only Crust Shadow is going to be onboarded on OnFinality. And yeah, I'm currently thinking what to do with the rest. Maybe I will reach out to them on Discord maybe they are not aware that there are issues. I don't know. In general, it feels like the quality of parachains is getting a little bit lower. And yeah, so I have updated dev environment currently. I didn't touch test A, test B, because I wanted to clarify what is our plan. Should we swap? Because test A is currently pretty old. It doesn't have like Polkadot and some of the recent Kusama parachains. Yeah, this is something to discuss maybe on Thursday. On Prometheus Datadog integration, I didn't do anything. It was postponed. On the NFT, I did a demo of the application on last Thursday. Application which integrates with StateMine, StateMint, BestMint. Yeah, the repository is added to Subspace organization. I have also created a lucid diagram similar what Justin showed us for MetaVault. And we also discussed, because I was running local node with a unique spout, and we discussed that it would be nice to have it running with Westmint, with a real chain. And yeah, I did that. It currently works with Westmint just fine. And yeah, keep doing research on the ecosystem, and I share stuff with Skylar. We do some sync calls from time to time. And this week, I'm going to participate in the NEAR hackathon. It starts on Wednesday, and it's going to be like 1 month. So yeah, I was doing some introduction into NEAR ecosystem. And yeah, I didn't do anything on feed validation, unfortunately. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Was there any new response about the justifications missing?
No.
Okay, maybe try to reach out again. Maybe someone else will reply. I believe it was Dan that was answering some of the questions, but then just disappeared.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for the update, Serge. Sounds like you've been doing a lot, so that's great. So I have a bunch of questions. So on the relayer for the new parachains, so as I understand, there are some parachains that have gotten slots. They've won the auctions. They're supposedly going to be live imminently. They're not live on StateMine. They don't have a public endpoint. So I guess my question is, do we know if those parachains are actually live or if they're just in the process of going live?
They are live because we have warnings in Relayer that there are new chains with new para IDs which are not included in the config. And if you go to the Polkadot apps in the parachains section, you can see that like those para blocks are included in the particular relay chain blocks. But if you go to this sidebar, you cannot click any of these new parachains. And I tried to find those endpoints by myself, and they just don't work. So
it's almost like they're running like a closed private consensus network, and they're just broadcasting that somehow to Polkadot.js.
Maybe they're in progress to become public. I don't know.
How many does that how many fall under that category?
Sakura, Subsocial, and Zeitgeist.
Okay.
And
yeah,
Trust Shadow has issues, but they will be on finality, so I hope it will be resolved.
Sure. Yeah. Why don't you just jump in their Discord and ask? You know.
Yeah, that's my plan.
See what they say. Okay. Great. All right. You mentioned test A and B. I think we should sort that out now so we can get the ball rolling on that instead of waiting till Thursday. So which one is currently live right now? Public facing? Is it A or B?
Test A. Test A is public facing.
And that does not, so that just has Kusama, but not Polkadot.
Yes.
And is test B fully synced?
Guys, I think you are mistaken. Let me check. I believe test B is the current one. I just changed it last week. That's what Justin was talking about.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
If you go to the layer page, it does show Polkadot, right?
That's what I thought.
So it's already live. Everything is fine.
I'm checking now.
Yep.
Yeah,
No,
showing
if I
Polkadot.
Yeah, it is
probably you're
Polkadot.
on test. Is it test B you're looking?
This is
Um,
if you go to the home page and you scroll down to the bottom where it says Subspace Testnet. It's testnet-relayer.subspace.network.
It's pointing to test B, and Polkadot is showing fine in Subspace Relayer. I'm not sure
Ah.
what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, I'm checking right now. I'm checking test A, and it doesn't have Polkadot. So I thought
Right,
test
but
A
because
is
it's the
public
old one, that's fine.
Okay, so I can update test A.
I'm not sure there is much reason to update it. Like there is really nothing new comparing to test B.
No, we have new parachains on Kusama.
Why can't we add them to the test A? Just restart the
Mm,
layer.
Or test B.
yeah, we can add them everywhere.
Yeah, just add to test B, and I think we can leave test A as it is. We'll restart it with the new
Okay.
software later.
Okay, update test B.
Yeah, they should all be just small chains, so they should be able to update just through the RPC without having to archive it from Genesis.
Yeah.
Okay. When was the last time that the archives were updated, or are those still just automatically updating?
They are updating all the time. I have added the new parachains today. Some of the new parachains today. Those who have like working endpoints.
Okay. So if we need to restart test A, it will sync 99% from the archives of all the data that it needs.
Yes.
Great. Okay, awesome. Okay, about the NFT demo with StateMine, the Lucid diagram that you created, is that a separate tab in the same page that Justin had? Okay, great. I'll
Yes.
take a look at that later. Awesome.
Well, we didn't discuss. I have added from my understanding. I think we should discuss with Justin first, in case I didn't follow the standard.
I'm sorry, I thought my message got back to you. I took a look at it. It looked pretty good to me as far as I saw, Serge.
Okay.
All right, great. Yeah, I'll take a look at it and just give you my high level feedback
Sure.
on Discord. Okay. All right, regarding the near hackathon, so I understand that it's scheduled for a month, but we're not going to have you working on it for a month. Still got a lot of other stuff we got to do. So your guidelines here are no more than 3 days worth of work. So you need to coordinate with with Todd and Diana about as a team on what days you guys want to work on this. But this is not your priority. This is something that you guys need to figure out how to do. You know, how to work into your schedule this week. If you guys want to take a few days off to do it, I mean, a few days off from your main tasks to do it, that's fine. But it's not an open-ended task that's going to run, you know, for a week or the whole month or anything like that. So roughly 3 days is about how much of your time I'd like you to allocate to this at some point in the month.
Okay. Yeah, we're having a call later today, so we will discuss what's our plan. But yeah, thanks for clarifying.
Great. Yeah, and then with the feeds validation, I think Nizar, you're going to need to take a look at that and get involved to see kind of what we can do for next steps here. I think we're kind of stuck on this right now, where we need to reach out to somebody at Parity, because I don't think Serge is really getting the help that he needs here from whoever he's reaching out to. So like we need to reach out to like maybe Santiago at Substrate Builders or somebody to get more direct support, because we seem to be stuck on this.
Unfortunately, we already tried.
Yeah.
We'll try again.
Okay. I mean, it seems
Santiago
like
Santiago was out of office. Maybe he's back.
maybe. Yeah. We'll see. Okay. That's all I had for you, Serge, unless anybody else has any questions or comments. Yeah, and sorry, I guess one other thing. So, so this week, what I guess you're going to figure out what you're doing for the hackathon. That might be this week, but was there anything specific you were hoping to accomplish this week?
I was planning to do some progress on the feed validation.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great if we could get that resolved this week.
Definitely.
Okay. And then otherwise, it would just be getting as many of the parachains live as we can. And it sounds like you're communicating with Skylar, so he's aware of that. So like the business team's getting that feedback loop to make the announcements and update the website and everything that needs to be done there. Great. Okay, that's all I had.
Okay, let's move on to Ivan.
Sure, yeah. I guess for the last week, I've been studying the storage-related part of the Subspace protocol. So I've been studying the Space Mint and the proof of applications white papers. So after the review with the Jeremiah, I went back and I'm reading again about the Space Mint paper, like especially about the attack vectors on those. So yeah, I'm after finishing with that, I plan to go on the decoupled execution. Yeah. Also, apart from that, I've been doing the pilot, which is connected with the Uniswap, which is basically doing the Uniswap V2 functionality. Yeah, and I have some troubles with the like with the gluing everything up because like this pilot requires like having the some other pilots, and it seems that I have some troubles like calling the not the extrinsics but the methods from the other pilots. So yeah, it would be glad if someone could review my code. So yeah.
Have you tried to reach out to someone on the matrix? There are like there is a public chat for Substrate development. There is also a Substrate builder chat for consensus and in general.
No, I didn't try it.
Okay.
It would be great
if you are not there, create an account. I will invite you, and there are a lot of cool folks there. Someone will be able to help you.
Okay, great.
There is also, just in case, support repository on under Parity. They also offer support there, so you can create an issue.
Yeah. I guess that's it for my side. Yeah.
And what is the plan on this week? What's left?
So what is left? I guess I need to finish with the part related to this to the storage side of the protocol. So yeah, I need to study some more of these Space Mint attack vectors, which we point out in the white paper. So and after that, I will go to the decoupled execution. So yeah.
Okay, and let's be prepared to present tomorrow at the protocol sync when you give your update to kind of give us an overview of the code and where it's at and what your questions and concerns are, or if you're stuck on anything. Do you expect that you can? Is that palette mostly done in terms of the logic? It's just sort of like wiring it up, like getting it to build that you're having trouble with right now?
It's actually it's built, but it has some like it has logical errors. But like from my mental model, which I have about the pilots right now, it seems that it should work. So yeah, I guess it's either like something wrong with my mental model, and I need to like change some of the function calls which I depend on from the other pellets, like for example, transferring the tokens from the from account which from the caller account. So yeah, something like that. These kind of things they fail.
Okay. So yeah, like Nazar said, let's get some feedback from from the community on that one. You got to learn how that process works. That's really the best way to get help with Substrate from the dev community, the protocol engineering community, and present that tomorrow. Let's have a goal of getting that submitted for review to Nazar and Lu Cheng by the end of this week as well.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions to Ivan? Okay. I think we'll let Leo drink his tea and get better today. He has having trouble speaking. I'll give a little bit of an update on Lu Cheng because he has a Lunar New Year today and this week, so he's not present. He was working on the execution receipts verification. The challenge was that those receipts that were received, they were not properly validated because there was no storage for the correct receipt. So there was no way to compare what the correct one is and then generate a fraud proof if necessary. So he had a pull request. Me and Ivan reviewed it. There are still some unresolved points there, so it's like a draft pull request, but it's a step forward. And I think once he's back, we'll be able to push it through the line. It's like, I would say it's like half done, but there are some tricky things around like fork resolution and stuff that needs to be taken care of. So that's the brief update on Lu Cheng side. On my side, I didn't write any code again. I was mostly reading code of our team and of some of the candidates for many of our engineering positions we are hiring for. Had a bunch of interviews. I read one book that Jeremiah suggested on software development. We'll probably discuss it later. It was an interesting read. It's quite an old book. It's a really, really old book. I was reading an anniversary edition, which was written 25 years later, and it was more than 25 years from today, the anniversary edition. So the book is like half a century old, but at this point, but it still has many, many relevant points. I think it will help us to do a little bit better in terms of development. One of the important things that got resolved kind of, at least in terms of mental model for me, is we had a discussion with Jeremiah on the networking side. And this is something I'll be focusing on this week because that is kind of a blocker for several initiatives we have. It's blocking DSN. And by extension of that, it also blocks the ability for farmers to have partial replica because we cannot discover things on the network when someone wants to retrieve an object and you don't have all of the pieces. And it will probably affect a little bit or a lot, depending on how we move with it, the networking side on the substrate itself. Because we have several things which are broadcasted twice, once on the executor side, once on the farmer node side, and we will be able to deduplicate it, but it's still an open question whether it will actually happen and how it will be. But having some networking for DSN will be a first step towards unblocking all of those use cases. So this is something, hopefully I will have time this week and have something to present next week for everyone to try. There was one glitch on the testnet B actually. We didn't have block production for 38 hours. I'm not sure I've seen notification about that. Something to check on the Datadog side. But I did notice it. I just restarted the farmer reconnected and started produce blocks again. This is because we have changed the consensus. We don't have that problem with unexpected epoch change anymore because we don't have epochs. So that's good. Anytime any of you see the same problem, usually just restart the farmer and everything will be fine. The ticket on the substrate side about that is still open. If it's not closed in like, I don't know, a week, I'll probably write some workaround on our side to just get past that problem. And I was planning to upgrade Substrate last week, but it's the end of the month today, which means tomorrow we'll have a snapshot. I'll probably just update to the snapshot. There are several important changes on the Substrate side that will be a little bit involved, but I think eventually it will help us. Yeah, I think these are all updates on my side and plans. Any questions from the team? All right. Any closing thoughts, Jeremiah?
Yeah, just a few updates from me. So over the last week, I have been focused on planning and having a lot of discussions with Nazar. The planning has been around specifically the organizational chart, the ideal plan of how many engineers we would have, what the roles would be, what the teams would be, what sort of the management structure would look like, how that's going to scale, and also a plan around the protocol stack itself, kind of the APIs and the functionality that we're going to have within the runtime, within the SDK layer, like Subspace JS, and then within like an application layer, like a Subspace meta services, how that will all fit together, trying to get as specific as possible. So I have a giant Lucid chart that you guys will probably throw up when you see I'm working on. And also been working on the recruiting and the hiring side, doing a lot of interviews like Nazar said, getting more streamlined and formal with the recruiters that we are working with, starting to talk with several new recruiters that are being recommended through some of our new investors. So everything, it's just kind of like slowly getting better, slowly getting more organized and getting better, more pipelines of really high quality candidates that are coming in. And this week, my two main goals are to complete, and through discussions with Nazar, to complete the hiring roadmap and kind of the high level stack for the protocol, and to have a good presentation on Friday. I'll be leading that effort with the protocol team on the R&D update that we're going to give at the all hands meeting on Friday. So hopefully that will be more clear to everybody. And really that's kind of the core of everything we're doing, right? If we don't have a solid foundational blockchain protocol underneath, then it doesn't really matter about the apps or the integrations or the community or any of that if we don't have that. So that's kind of the prime mover that we need to make sure that we have a really clear concept of. So that's something we've been working on for a while, but this week I'm planning to have on Friday some more solid direction to talk about around that. Okay, any questions for me? Okay, anything else, Nazar?
No, I just want to say thank you to the whole team for the awesome work. I want to say thank you to the viewers for watching, and we will see you in a week. Bye.